Good afternoon. I know you all have been waiting for me to put out a forecast, and I'm sorry. I'm trying to run a garage sale and trying to do everything all at once. Very busy week this week. We are the 4th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We have a ton of activity to talk about. You're all excited about it. We've had over 20 CMEs so far, and tons of M-class flares, lots of C activity, but we've had the two big X-class, the 7 and the 9 X-class flares. Those have come out of the region right here, then 3842. We have 3841 up here. It has produced some pretty significant activity as well. We have 3848 that is rotating in. Now, I am sitting outside. You're going to hear planes taking off because they switch directions that they're taking off in. And it's a little noisy today. We have a chain of solar activity here that is really active. We have a coronal hole starting to develop right here. We have a slight coronal hole trying to develop here to the north. And we have one rotating in on the north. So that is responsible for the forecast we have of the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, and the 22nd. That is coming from these coronal holes. You cannot predict CMEs, so those do not hit the predictions. Okay? You will not see those except for the 3-day forecasts. And half of those 3-day forecasts are going to be wrong. They're going to be bigger or smaller, and you have to learn what to look for yourself, to figure out yourself what's going on, and not wait for these forecasters so that you don't waste money. You have to be watching these forecasts. Now, this is going to be a weekend that you're going to err on the high side. Why do I say that? Okay, we're going to look at our emerald spiral here real quick. You can see up here we have plasma. This is the actual CME shock wave, where all the dense particles are. And you can see that these are coming out and hitting us in waves. Boom, boom, boom. And you can see how they're combining and moving together. Okay? But this isn't always right. Because sometimes it likes to argue with what NASA thinks. Okay, so NASA has a very different view sometimes than NOAA, and when in question, I tend to err on the side of NASA. Because NASA has a really hotshot forecaster down there. She does a terrific job. Can't remember her name, but I'm sure she knows who she is, and she's absolutely fabulous. Now, down here on the bottom, this is radial wind velocity. Okay, this is where you get your coronal hole stream coming in. This is where you get, you know how you set off a bomb and there's an impact zone, but then there's the radial blast zone that's around it? So this is kind of the blast zone around that CME. And so you want to think of it like that. So you can see that these kind of catch up and combine, and the wind kind of amplifies when they combine. That is your scoop shovel events. That's when one wind is pushing the other wind faster, and it starts to build things up on the front of it. Okay, so we have 48 over here. 3849 is very small. It's not doing much right now. But it is set up to develop into a very, very ugly, violent sunspot. Now, looking here, I was talking with, and I'm going to give her some recognition. Rebecca is in Wisconsin. She helps me run our Wisconsin groups. Her and I were discussing this the other day, that there has been a change in the patterns of our sun. we're hitting a new phase in the cycle. So it used to be anything over here would get really quiet for the last year and a half till it got over here at the center of the disc. And then it would click just over here and it'd get really active and we'd see a lot of CMEs come and flaring on that outgoing zone. But since the end of or beginning of September, we've noticed it's been flaring in the incoming zone and it's been dropping activity on the incoming zone. Now, will this continue? I don't know. It could be because we're coupled magnetically with the sun because we're the closest to the sun in orbit right now. But this may be hitting a new cycle and we may see longer durations that those sunspots are active. So we have 42, 30, 42, 44, and 48 are all beta, gamma, delta. They're very wicked looking sunspots. 43 is dying down a little bit, so it's only beta, delta. So let's go down and look at a few of these. There's 39, 41. 41 is dying, okay? I think it's because there's so much activity going down in the other sunspots, 44, 43, and 42, that it's pulling the energy away from 41. This is our monster sunspot. You can just see how wicked this looks. It is changing in the matter of 30 minutes. It looks completely different than it did 30 minutes ago. You're starting to see a lot more activity. And this is one you kind of want to go back and check frequently to see how significantly radical it's becoming. 43 is over here. It's kind of dying down, but it still has a lot of magnetism that may flare off, but it's also getting out of the range of hitting us. 44 is right behind it. It is still capable of definitely developing into something that can hit us. If you're noticing, they're all losing a sunspot or two, but I think that's because the sunspot groups are starting to combine and draw together. And they're actually, some of the umbra are swallowing up the smaller umbra around it. So it's getting more violent. It's taking up the baby sunspots or the baby umbras and sucking them into a deep, big one that has a stronger potential to have a more violent eruption. So I don't think this is like, oh, it's dying out because it's getting less umbra. I think it's just getting bigger and deeper umbra that is more electrically charged, if that makes sense. So these are taking a breath right now, taking a break. They've been really active for a couple days. 45 is out of the range of hitting us. 38, 47 is not doing much. And again, I think that's just because there's so many sunspots around it. They're just pulling all the energy away from that sunspot. Here is our one on 38, 48 on the northern hemisphere. This is just absolutely wicked. This is starting to look really wicked. You can see a clearly defined outlines of these umbra, and they're wrapped right in just as tight as can be. You couldn't even slide a piece of paper between the polarities. This is going to be kicking out more and more and more sunspots as it rotates into the Earth-facing view. Now, remember I said 3049 looks like it could become a monster. I think when this comes in and it starts magnetically coupling with Earth, it's going to reorganize and start getting active just like 42 did, just like 48 is, and it is going to be a monster because there is so much interwoven polarity in this long grouping of sunspots. It's going to be a monster. So, real quick, I'm not going to go through everything. You need to learn how to do this. So you need to go back down here to number 11, and you need to walk through every one of these cactus views and figure out, where is the eruption coming from, and is it going to hit me? You need to look at your wind speeds. Is this moving fast? Okay, this is moving really slow, but this one is moving faster, and there's more of it. So whatever's out there is going to get picked up and shoved faster, which is going to cause what? A scoop shovel spike. So it's going to scoop up whatever plasma particles that are there. It's going to shove them faster and bunch them up, and it's going to give you a sudden onset spike. That's what you want to look at. And then you want to look at how long these are lasting. So this one was an hour. This one was 3 hours. We're going to go up here. So our first one, and this is the area that the X9 took off of. Right in front of that X9, we had this. It's going here. We've got something moving off this way. We've got something moving this way. All the way around the disk, we have plasma and winds moving. So between the sun and Earth, there is a blanket of electromagnetically charged particles out there. So think of it like a driveway full of snow between you and the sun. So then we had a small blast out of 3842 and one from 3848. Simultaneously, this one is a wide horizontal blast on the top. How do I know this? Because it's running from here all the way over to here. This is a wide horizontal blast. Probably a filament around that sunspot let go. It's hurling stuff up and away, but at that point, that sunspot would have been right here, in this area right here. So that is moving towards us and slightly up. This is moving towards us and maybe a little bit down. So there's going to be lots of particles right there going at 500 and some kilometers per second. It's picking up what was just before it at 300 kilometers per second that had a nice blanket of stuff, and it's combining. So this is going to be a sudden onset. Behind it, in less than an hour, we had our X-class flare. Here is our blast. It is going down and away. It is super, super dense. It is moving at 700 and some kilometers. It is going to pick up the 2 CMEs in front of it. Okay, so you have the 3, the 5, now we got a 7. It's going to be picking it up and pushing it towards us. This is a fast blast. It lasted only 4 hours. The one before it was 10 hours. It lasted 10 hours of wind that came out of this. So it was continually blasting us. Now we have it being picked up and hurled at us. And it's going to be a sudden onset spike. This is where I say it's going to err on the side of big, not small. So when they do the forecasting, this is where I say, I've got this storm, and this storm. They're stacking up. It's going to be bigger than they expect. Because they're only looking at just this picture. They're not looking at the scoop shovel when they do these forecasts. So when they do it, they're just looking at this image and they're saying, this is going to be a KP6 or this is going to be a KP7. They don't look at combining them. Right behind that, by 2 hours, we have the second 4-hour blast. It is going to pick up things on the left side of us and really shove it faster. Little bit over here, but it's not going to be as hard a blast on the right outgoing limb. So it's really going to pick up what's between us and that and shove it even faster. And that one, so you have, this one is 762. This is the long 10-hour one that is very slow moving. It's being picked up by the 956. Now we've got one right behind it that's moving twice as fast. And I'm going to stress this. When they look at setting KP, they are looking at the individual blast. They are not necessarily looking at this is going to combine with this going to combine with this going to combine and say, oh, well, this might hit an 8. It might hit a 9. I would not be at all surprised to see a KP9 out of this, because you have all these storms combining together, and you've got two other blasts right behind it. That one will miss, but that one won't. So you have these two are combined, so these are moving at 19 kilometers, and an hour later you have another blast that's going to pick up and push again. And then we have all this stuff coming at us at varying speeds in between, where you have a 500-kilometer storm, and it's going up and away from 30 or 38, 48. But we have stuff moving here, we have stuff moving here, so that there is a nice slow-moving blanket of activity out there. And here we come with a known solid hit. This is going to move here, but you can see it moving all the way around the disk, and it's going to be moving faster. So here you're going to get another onset spike. Learn to look at this and do this yourself. If you're waiting for somebody else to tell you when, where, and what to do, you're missing the boat. You need to look at the facts. You need to know what it means. You need to know how to read this so you can plan your activities. Do not be dependent on other people, because they will make you miss. Well, not so much with me, but I tend to be pretty accurate when I say this could be and that could be. But 9 times out of 10, NOAA is wrong. It either comes in bigger, smaller, before or after they say, and this, you understanding this stuff and looking at this stuff is your best chance of learning how to know when you're on, when it's going to be bigger, when it's going to be smaller, when they just haven't got it right. So, let's go back to Friday tonight. Looking at sky cover. When you see something in blue, we're golden. So, we have all of our viewing area right through morning. Friday night is going to be great. Saturday is going to be a problem, because northern Wisconsin and western Michigan is going to have problems early on. Okay, so we're 11 p.m. Mackinaw's out of the running, so don't go to Mackinac. Do not go to the eastern UP. Do not go to the UP on Saturday night. By 2 a.m., Sheboygan, Alpena, most of the western side of Michigan, except for down by St. Joseph's, is going to be out of the realm of possibility. Sleeping Bear is not going to be any good on Saturday night. The closer you are to southern Michigan and the Detroit area, better chance. By early morning, Wisconsin, you're going to have a good shot. Early morning, western Michigan will have a good shot. Knowing that this is going to continue. Sunday night, Mackinac in western Michigan or UP is not going to be any good. It's going to be clouded up in the UP heavily. You're going to be farther ahead to stay to the south. 11 o'clock, that starts easing up. By 2 a.m., More of Western Michigan will have it. Sleeping Bear will be better. Sheboygan or Charlevoix, you're going to be no-go. Mackinac, I would not do it this weekend. Going into Monday through Wednesday, pretty much everybody has a good solid shot. Except maybe here Tuesday night might be a little hazy up in the UP. And Wednesday we've got it good. And I think that's about as far out as it goes. Oh, we got Thursday. What's Thursday doing? Thursday, everybody's golden. So once we get past Saturday and Sunday, you'll be good. Those of you in the southern Michigan, I would stay put. Do not run. You're going to be able to see it down there. Almost all of the United States is probably going to see the storm. You do not have to leave to get it. However, we are getting a smoke drift, and it is drifting north. An hour ago, it was barely at the bottom of Michigan. Now we're almost up to Traverse City. So we are going to be dealing with light smoke, and we have a very high, very, very high smoke fire danger out in Montana, Idaho, Wyoming. It's very dry, very high winds, very warm out there this weekend. Abnormally so it is a very high risk of fires, and it looks like we have a couple of them starting in Wisconsin, a couple in Minnesota, but that Wisconsin one is probably picking out a good amount of stuff. This is the tsunami, or I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. Let's see, it is... So let's look at that. We have a lot of acreage here up in the mountains burning. A lot of this is on high, steep hills, and it's not going to be very good to fight. It's going to be a stinker, and we're going to be high and dry most of the month, so we can expect smoke this month. Now, I am going to remind everybody, we have Christmas ornaments on sale at our store, North American Art Products. All of these Christmas ornaments. We have lots of different options as Christmas ornaments, and these are on sale with the code SPOOKY20, 20% off this month. I'm going to leave you there. Hope to see some of you out there this weekend. Have a ball.